Recreational vehicles have hundreds of electrical contacts, components, and circuits. Knowing how to use a multimeter and troubleshoot electrical issues is a great skill set. So you may be wondering, well, how do you use a multimeter, or where do I check the wiring? There's a lot to know and a lot to learn. So I'm going to show you not only how to use a multimeter, but how to use it on an actual RV using 4 basic electrical checks commonly used on RVs. Here I have a common digital multimeter. It happens to be the one that I use, but it has 4 areas that are universal on all digital multimeters. So the first one here is the selector dial. This one you can move back and forth to ohms, volts, amps, that type of thing. Up here we have a function button. It says select there. That'll allow you to change from AC current to DC current. You have your red and black leads. One's positive, red, black is negative. And then you have your digital display screen here that shows you the results of the test that you're taking. Now let's take a look at the 4 common tests that you will perform on an RV. And that is, first one is component power testing. What you're doing there is you're looking at the power that runs that component. If the power is there, then you eliminate the electrical portion of it and you start focusing on the component. Then you have wire testing, individual wires. You're checking for continuity and making sure that that individual wire is good to go. Then we're going to look at shore power testing. Now that also includes testing on the 12-volt circuit as well. We all know that RVs have 2 electrical systems, one that's DC direct current and one that's AC alternating current. One has 120 volts AC, one has 12 volts DC. We need to make sure that the RV is being provided that power to run all the components and appliances. And then the last one is connection and circuit testing. We checked wiring here, but if you start adding in mini breakers and quick disconnects, you create an actual circuit, and that's what we can test. And that tests the wiring and the components in the wiring. Now let's go out to my RV, perform these tests, and I'll show you how to perform the test and what the results will be. Here we have a replica of what a shore power terminal looks like. This is a 30 amp, 120 volt receptacle, just like you'd find at a campsite. So I'm going to make this real simple and check one area for that 120 volts AC. So I will take the positive lead and put it in this left terminal and the negative lead in the right lower terminal. Now that those are in there making contact, I'm going to take my selector dial and put it on volts. Make sure it's on AC and you'll see 121 volts AC. For this next test, we're going to do a component check, which is making sure that we have DC voltage out of the battery and that it's within spec. So let's go ahead and move the dial to voltage and make sure, utilizing this selector button, that it's DC voltage. And then we'll put the red lead on the positive and the black lead on the negative. We should get 12.6. And we do, we have 12.61 volts DC. For the next couple tests, I'm going to make the multimeter read ohms, which is resistance, which is connectivity, making sure that the wiring that you're checking has complete connectivity from point A to point B. So let's change this dial to ohms, and you'll see 0 and an L there. And for the first test, I'm going to check the continuity in this short red wire here by putting one of the leads here and one of them on here. And it reads 0.0 ohms, which is perfect connectivity from point A to point B. The next test, I'm going to check the components in a circuit. So I'm not only going to check this wire, but I'm going to check the mini breaker all the way up to the quick disconnect. So this small circuit. So I put one of the leads on one side and then one on this side, and I'm checking connectivity through the mini breaker and the wiring that's included in that circuit. For this test, we're going to perform a components test, and that is making sure that the power supplied to the refrigerator is there and enough to operate the refrigerator properly. So what I've done is I've removed the refrigerator, and I also disconnected the power wire from the refrigerator power wire so we can just test the incoming power. So we have a black wire and a white wire. This is going to be your positive and this is going to be your negative. So let's move the selector switch up to voltage. Make sure that it's on DC, and we will take our red probe and put it on the black wire, and the white wire will have the black probe, and we should get around 13 volts DC. So we know that the refrigerator is receiving the power it needs to properly run.